Round number 3 of my F1 25 My Team Career Mode brings us to Japan. I cannot wait for this one. The LiDAR scan, Suzuka, that is going to be a lot of fun. But guys, before we jump into today's episode, if you haven't seen the last episode, the Chinese Grand Prix sprint weekend, over an hour long, by the way. So much happened in that one. Go watch it, guys, before we jump into spoilers in this episode. Now, you can see the activities on the left side. We have a few things to get through. Now, we're going to showcase a bit of the different elements this year in my team. Now, in the admin side of things, let's say, where the owner is controlled, myself basically, we have a few updates. Now, we've actually gained some sponsor loyalty from our title sponsor, and that is going to be X4MIG. So we'll check that out in just a little bit. Here is our fan rating. Now, currently we've started to make some progress. You can see the fan rating from Team Stats is up by 5%. We're now currently trying to increase our owner XP by 10%. The sentiment is positive in terms of the team and how we're being perceived within the paddock. And yeah, generally we're taking small steps after just 2 rounds. Here is what was the accolades basically in driver career brought over to now the owner side of things in my team, and we almost have the first one for total workforce. We also have a constructors points goal, passive sponsor income, and other things. Now you can see in the corporate tab, we're going to jump into the title sponsor section, and basically you can see now we're making our way towards level 3 in terms of loyalty. And as we progress through, we're going to unlock different things, different decal designs, a special livery as well, which could be quite fun. And yeah, just generally I want to try and get to level 7. That special sponsor look is really awesome, and I want to try and get that on the car ASAP. So yeah, we're going to keep chipping away, working away to hit our goals. Now, I've actually unlocked a new number format for today's episode, thanks to the podium pass. So we're going to put that on the car right away. And I saw your feedback from the last episode regarding either livery design A or B, and you guys were slightly more in favor of sticking with option B, which basically had a more predominantly black livery and a bit of a different design. So we're going to basically stick with that, but I'm going to tweak the livery slightly, improving the sponsor arrangement, which we actually unlocked a new Aperture sponsor logo design for this episode. So again, we're kind of gaining that sponsor loyalty, not just with X4MIG, but also with Aperture, one of our secondary sponsors. And we're actually going to basically rearrange some of the sponsors, make them a bit bigger, also use that new logo, which is really colorful and looks really nice. And that's going to help just bring the livery together. Also, just messing with the paint finishes to try and come up with a bit of a different finish. And in the end, I settled for this. So you can see now with our logos on the car, our new number, also rearranging and updating some of the sponsors, Aperture more prominent, X4MIG, I've made it a bit bigger on the side of the car as well. We have a much more complete looking car. Bit by bit, it's becoming more professional and looks more like an actual F1 livery. So I'm very happy, and we are making strides to hopefully have a livery that looks the part. To be fair, I'm still not convinced what sort of paint finish to go for on the black, if to go gloss, satin or matte. I'm still deciding, but it still looks awesome. I love how the car is improving and looking better each race, and we're just going to keep chipping away. Hopefully we can keep making progress, unlocking things, and yeah, just generally improving how the car looks. Now we delve into activities, and again, this is a big part of my team this year, and I'm speeding this up because actually there was a lot of kind of, I did an activity, then took it away, corrected it, replaced or shuffled things around, and we're just trying to basically be as efficient as possible without hurting ourselves. Now, we had a lot of activities here which basically would affect the morale of a department, right? So if we do one thing, it's going to basically have a knock-on effect. So I'm trying to basically keep the morale high within the team. And to be fair, the bulk of the activities here and where I really spent some time was on the corporate, the fourth one that we're currently on right now. I ended up going for the advertising campaign, which is 6 days long, but it's going to give us the potential of, earning more money, bringing more sponsors, and then also we're going to go for some fan outreach to try and just get some more fan rating and just kind of put ourselves out there a bit more to the naked eye Formula 1.
Fantastic news. One of our parts is now developed. After completing a single part, it will be ready for fitting. We can select which car to install it on. Parts that have been dual developed will automatically be fitted to both cars. Head over to engineering and the assign upgrades screen so you can take a look.
So here we go, the plank is here. We can develop our chassis upgrade, which we're going to do in 10 days time. It will arrive, so hopefully we'll have a better car for the next round. In the meantime, I noticed I needed one more day to basically finish the research on an aero update, and we basically just go back into the menu, skip ahead by a day, and we have received the front wing adjuster bracket. So now we're going to go ahead and develop that upgrade as well. So a couple of upgrades on the way, which is really exciting. But yeah, for this one, we do have upgrades for Solov. So basically what's going to happen now is the upgrades that we assigned to Jarno last episode are now going to be assigned automatically, I believe, to Solov. You can see they've both got 6 each. Last episode it was 6 for Jarno, 4 for Solov, and they're now basically both going to be on both drivers. So yeah, we're going to see hopefully a step forward from Nicola this weekend as we take control back with Jarno this weekend.
Hey, Chief. We have a part or two ready for development because they finished research. Let's get that in motion, shall we? Head to engineering for more info.
Now then, we've actually received an improvement, so our comms are going to be better, and we're going to have better development, which basically means, as an owner, we're going to receive more XP for completed developments. Not research, development specifically. So we have received another update, and we're going to go ahead and basically purchase a beam wing upgrade. So 3 upgrades from the last race to this one that we're currently developing, and we're now going to spend some money in terms of the facility improvements. Now for this one, there was a few options, especially in engineering. It's quite open, and I was trying to decide what the best option was, and I think that improved comms research, the first one, will be the next one up. But for now, for this episode, before we go into that one, I actually started scrolling down a little bit to try and see if there was something in there that might work. And actually the quality of life improvements, essentially keeping the morale high in the chassis department in a more easy way without having, you know, as much of an effect when things go wrong, was going to be the one I was going to go for. Personnel, we have one on the way, and it's going to arrive in a few days time. So we go up to the corporate tab, and it's between either sponsor negotiation team or team owner liaison, and that's the one I'm actually going to go for, which basically improves the owner XP, and we're going to have, you know, any actions taken is going to increase by 10%. So basically, it's going to have quite a heavy effect on, you know, relations within the team, outside the team, sponsors, and so on. So we jump into the weekend at Japan. I can't wait to try the LiDAR scan Suzuka. Here's the office, everybody hard at work. Solov, Otmir, getting ready. Of course, this weekend, as I mentioned, we are going to be driving as Jarno, and we're going to get down to it. So, onto the laptop, onto the updates. First off, confirmation, split upgrade strategy, as we don't have the dual development just yet. And basically confirming that Solov is going to have the upgrades that Jarno had previously received this weekend. So nothing really new there. So Jarno's car is unchanged. The forecast though, we have rain for qualifying but a dry race. So we're going to have a split weekend, and we're going to have to decide our setup, what approach to go for. But here is the championship. Currently you can see Jarno's P11, Solov behind in P12. We did bag a couple of points last time out with him in China, and both drivers are off the mark. Now there's one big change this weekend, and you guys have been talking to me in the comments about it, and yeah, we're going to deliver. So basically, in a nutshell, we are running a default setup for this weekend, basically moving on, because we were just too overpowered running a sim racing center setup. The 110AI aren't that quick, so we're going to run a default setup. All I've done is tweaked, and I mean tweaked because it's valid within the rules. Those values you can change anyway. So for example, you can change the front wing, you can also change, you know, the diff, which is something you can adjust in the race, and then also your tire pressures and your brake settings. But I haven't touched the suspension or the ride height or the roll bars or the camber or the toe. All of that is default. All I've done is I've basically chosen preset 2, which is high downforce. Anyway, jumping into practice, let's talk about a few of the things here. So we jumped in with the track acclimatization, and we made a bit of a mess of the hairpin and the last chicane, and we actually missed the goal by 5 points to get the purple. So I had to go for a second lap. We hit our mini goals, which is good, and yeah, second lap we made the mistake. We got it all right, all hooked up, and sorted it out. So yeah, job done on the second attempt. In terms of the data, you can see purple absolutely everywhere. We corrected the hairpin and the last chicane, so lovely jubbly. We now move on to the race strategy, which is of course the important one, where we get our race data, race simulations, and that's going to be what carries over into Sunday to see how we're looking. Now, medium times for this one, 5, smooth laps. This track is incredible to drive on. Anyway, we finish it, job done. Tyre wear is looking really good, much better than the first 2 rounds. So actually this default setup has given us a bit less tyre wear. Fuel burn though looks quite high. We then jump into the last program, the qualifying performance test. And this one was actually quite interesting because I'm a bit slow on the straight, so I was looking comfortable purple, and then suddenly we started to dip. So we need a good last chicane here to get this purple score. It's only a single attempt program, a one and done, so I kind of want to get it done straight away to use, minimal tyres and also save the engine, and we just get purple over the line. And you can see the data there from that run. To be fair, it was fine, pretty comfortable. Car felt really nice, and yeah, that was going to be it for our practice session. We finished in second place, of course, with that qualifying sim, so not exactly an accurate time. We're probably way above where we actually are. Solov, though, at the back, P22, but to be fair, a vast improvement over Melbourne. He's much, much closer and on the pace. In Melbourne, he was, like over half a second off the next car, so positive steps. We also pick up maximum R&D points, so good start, but we're now going to jump into qualifying.
A warm welcome, everybody, from a venue that has seen plenty of sensational laps over the years. Remember, Verstappen in 23, Vettel in 2019, some phenomenal pole laps. But whose will it be today?
Right, now we jump into the qualifying session, and one thing I noticed was the rain falling. Now, I'm convinced that the full wet just doesn't work. It was the same thing in F1 24, but it seems like in this game with the reduced grip, it's slightly more apparent. The intermediate is just superior. A bit like in real life, to be fair, which is not a bad thing. But the issue is the AI used the wet. I think if the AI just used the inter, it would be fine, because then basically it's pretty realistic. The wet doesn't really get used. They only ever use inters in wet conditions. And all they've got to do is basically put a patch to switch the AI into inters at all times, and that should do the trick. So I went out on track. You can see it's actually quite wet, and I'm still kind of understanding how the wet conditions work, where the grip levels are, where the limit is. But right now, the track seems quite damp. There's no real dry line, which is usually the ideal scenario on F1 24, when you would know that the inter in a heavy rain condition is working well, which is what we're in right now. So according to the radio a moment ago, I did ask, it was heavy rain, and the only thing we're missing is a dry line. You can see there into the first Degner, I pushed way too much, got into the gravel, and then that gravel kind of drags on for a bit. So we lost quite a bit of time, but I actually kept on pushing with that lap, and even with that huge mistake, we go P4. So already with the purple sector 3, confirmation this is the right tyre, simple as that. So we're going to take a quick cool down lap, and we're going to go again. And we're already half a second up as we then arrive at the Degner, where we correct that mistake, and this time we keep it on track, and suddenly we basically find almost a second, and you can see we're way up on everybody, and this is the way to go. Also, just in that short time we've had that cool down lap, a dry line has started to form, and that is going to mean the track's even quicker than our first lap. So yeah, basically we have nailed the conditions here, we've nailed the tyre choice. 2.5 minutes to go. The AI are not going for intermediates, as we now get tangled up with Ocon here through Spoon, which normally could be a defining moment, but because we've got such a margin, that's not going to cost us that much. And we're still on course to go P1 here as we head through now 130R, completely flat already in these conditions, and now we just have to get the car through the Casio Triangle, the last chicane, nice and easy, over the curbs. No need to take any big risk. Get the car over the line, and that should see us moving swiftly into Q2. Over the line we go. P1, 42.2. Job done. Thank you very much. And yeah, the AI only going for wet, so that is going to mean we'll finish P1. I'm actually going to give Ocon a bit of a taste of his own medicine there, just kind of staying in the way a little bit into turn 1. But there you go. Final results confirmed. Over a second, pretty much. And then further down, Antonelli finished last, which is surprising. Not sure what happened to him. He actually DNF'd, and I didn't catch that live, so I'm going to assume potentially turn 1. Stoloff P19, that's a good qualifying from him compared to Australia, so good progress if you compare that to round 1. So some positive steps there, but you can see now start of Q2, AI opting for wets again when there's a clear line forming. So I said to myself, right, I'm going to wait until the end of the session, and that's exactly what I did. And with 3 minutes to go, finally the AI realized and they went for the Inter. So we are going to get a fair shootout in, equal conditions, and we're going to see if my Q1 was a bit of a fluke and I got through because I basically took an exploit, or if we actually have some pace in the wet and we potentially can get into Q3. So underway then for our final lap in qualifying. Some cars have stayed in the pits, which is interesting. I'm assuming they've set times on wets, not Inter, so they're going to be losing time. So some cars are going to be getting knocked out here automatically as we get the lap on the way. Through turn 1, then turn 2, a little bit of battery on the way out as we then feed the car through the S section. Basically running medium all the way through here because it's, the ideal setting. You're keeping stability as Bortoleto goes quickest and Hamilton goes even quicker. Lap times tumbling as we head through Dunlop, up the hill to end sector 1. On the battery as we cross the split, and we're going to be 1.2 up on Leclerc in P12. And he's done a time on Inter, or is currently setting a time on Inter, not quite sure. Either way, up towards the hairpin. Straight line braking, very important. Down to 3rd gear. Try and make sure you set the car up for the exit. You can lead on that curve on the outside if you have to as the checkered flag drops. Using battery as we now race towards Spoon Curve. At this point you want to bring the car to the right, down to 5th gear. Just clip the curb on the inside if possible, and then through the second half of Spoon, a lot of understeer through this apex as we open it up for the exit. I believe everyone has crossed the line, so Leclerc, whether he set a time on Inter or not, is out, and so is Sainz and Alonso. So some big names as we use a lot of our battery here. 2.5 seconds up on Alonso, into the last chicane, braking at the meter board, down to 3rd, and then shifting to 4th on the way through, using the curb on the runoff, and now keeping a tightish line to the line as we use our remaining battery. Over the line we go. Are we through? Yes, we are. P3. Job done. Good pace, good lap. Put it together. Nice and tidy. And yeah, not a fluke in Q1. Right up there with the big boys. However, some other big boys I got knocked out. Both McLarens out. Leclerc actually got through in P4, so Leclerc set a time after me in the end, so Leclerc is not out. Ocon didn't set a time, but Alonso, Sainz, Piastri, Tsunoda, Norris, all big names out. Verstappen just scrapes in on the wets in P10. Stroll's got a 5th-place grid drop, but crucially, both Saubers into Q3 with Doohan and Albon and myself. So a few big surprises there, which is really interesting. So we jump into Q3, and AI have gone for Inters again on their first run. Now the issue here is I used a set of Inter in Q1, a set of Inter in Q3, so I only have 1 set left. So I could have gone out on a use, but basically the track's going to keep evolving, so I'm going to wait until the end of the session to go for a run. Now the plan here is to go for 2 laps. I've fueled for 2. We're going to go for a lap now, then a cool down, and then another push. That's the strategy for this one, so we get the best conditions at the end. So we're going to open things up. I'll let you guys enjoy the lap, and I'll get back to you when the lap's over, if we're not successful. Over the line then, P6, and we don't have time for another lap. I got my timings a bit wrong. You can see we've got a minute 30 to go. We crossed the line with 1:34. A lap is 1:38, so that is going to be it for qualifying. And the AI didn't go out for their final run. So a very strange last run in qualifying. We do get P6 though. And to be fair, Albon out-qualifies us, but we crucially out-qualify our main rivals, you know, Doohan, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, Stroll. So a good session. Verstappen on pole by a pretty significant margin. I think I did a decent lap there, to be fair. It wasn't perfect, but I don't think there was a ton more. I think realistically we potentially could have got P3 looking at the gaps, but that was it. The top two were too quick. So yeah, job done in qualifying. We're now going to go into the race.
Welcome along to the legendary Suzuka. This classic racetrack boasts a long history dating right back to 1962 when it was first opened. Will more history be written here today at the Japanese Grand Prix? A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles. It's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 circuit. And the drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula One calendar. Keep an eye out for overtakes into the final chicane. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Russell, Alex Albon, and Opmeer, Doohan, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, and Lando Norris, Tsunoda, Piastri, Fernando Alonso, and Sainz, Stroll, Ocon, Pierre Gasly, and Isaac Hadjar, Soloff, Lawson, Behrman, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me, a man, well, what more can I say? But he's a legend. Anthony Davidson. Glorious Suzuka. It's a bit like Silverstone, an iconic track for which we couldn't have an F1 season without it. And so much for the drivers to think about around here.
Absolutely, Crofty. The only figure-of-8 circuit that we have on the calendar, and you kind of wonder, why don't we have more? Because it's such a good format. The drivers love this track. It's got a great flow to it, a fantastic circuit. Not the best for overtaking, but my goodness, from inside the car, it's a real treat for the drivers.
So here we go, time for the race at Japan. Main event time, P6, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, this is the moment of truth. We're going to find out if a default setup or a default setup is going to hang on or hold up as intended. So I'm keen to see how this works. So here we go, strategy-wise. Now, I've modified the alternate, but even still, I'm not quite sure what to do. There's a few options here at play. So if I go into the personalized strategy and I actually revert it, you can see it gives us a medium, soft. Now, I don't know if the soft tire is going to overheat, so that could be interesting. The hard tire doesn't seem to be in favor in this game. It's not really one that gets chosen a lot by the game, so that could be a message or a sign. I'm going to take 0.5 extra on fuel. The one thing, though, that's in common with all the strategies is that we're starting on mediums. So we're going to start on the medium and then decide in the middle of the stint what tire we're going to go for, how many stops, and so on and so forth. So let's get into it and let's try and hopefully bag some more points. Right, lining up on the grid, trying to get a last bit of tyre temp. It's been, again, a bit like in China, another slow formation lap, so it doesn't really allow you to get tyre temperature or enough front temperature. The rear's not too bad, but just trying to scrub the front up a little bit here. Gonna do a little burnout and hope that's enough for this race start as we line up on the grid. Japanese Grand Prix time, one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. 5 lights. Slow reaction, but we get a brilliant launch off the line. And we're up to P4. That's insane. I had a little look there at Leclerc into turn 1, but we're going to have to hold station for now. So this is now the real pressure test. Are we for real? Are the AI that slow, or are we going to get brought right back down to reality? There's faster cars, of course, outside the top 10, and we're going to be working their way back throughout this race. So This first phase is going to be important to try and maintain pace. Right now I've got a ton of understeer with the heavy fuel tank. Just struggling to find grip, but to be fair, we're not losing ground with the AIs. That's a good sign. Front three are on softs, so even more merit if we manage to stick with them at this opening part of the race. At the minute, we're actually pressuring Leclerc here. I'm not going to pass him though, it's not really wise. I think he will be quicker than us, so it makes more sense for a guy on soft to pull us along. Of course, DRS will be enabled over the line for next lap, so we'll bear that in mind. Oh my god, the dirty air through there. And the understeer from just the front end washing out was pretty insane. Hamilton, oh no, sorry, Russell. I still think of Hamilton in the Merc. Russell having a look into 130R, but we keep him behind. That was a significant amount of dirty air. My goodness me. Right, on to lap 2 then. Let's try and stick with the pack.
Okay, DRS is now available.
Russell closing. Will he have a look into turn 1? Not quite. So now it seems we did a good job holding onto the top 3 throughout the last lap, and now we're going to start to lose some ground. I'm going to, do my own race, manage my battery however I need. To be fair, Russell won't be a bad car to follow if he goes through. Hulkenberg behind will likely drop back in the Sauber, so me and George could potentially work together here to have a good race. That was a lot more pleasant than last lap. I wonder if we could sneak into DRS range. It's just out of 130R. Nope. Tried, but the cars ahead are pushing quite hard, so we're going to just settle in. Hulkenberg's pressuring Russell, which is interesting, so either George made a mistake or something happened, but we've got a nice healthy gap over George, and we're a second off Verstappen's pace.
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good.
So this is manageable for the time being. Could have actually stayed within range if I hadn't got that horrible dirty air spoon. We could have actually stuck with the front 3, but all good. We've still got a good race car. Ooh, lock up. That's not good. That's a pretty bad one. Just nicked the front a bit too much. I'll put the bias down to 54 now that we've settled into the race. Russell looking for a pass here, but we'll be able to keep him back for now. But we are starting to form a bit of a train. So even though I feel quick, maybe my pace isn't that good, I'm actually going to let George go here a little bit tactically so that we get the DRS out of 130R for the main straight. We can start to work with him, really. That's what I'm looking for. Doohan behind is about to be dropped out of DRS range, so that's something to look out for. But we'll let George pull the reins for now. We've dropped Hulkenberg. George is getting a move on here, so we're having to react and keep up with this pace. But this is now allowing us to drop the cars behind. So that's perfect for our race, really. Ideal scenario to get as much of a gap as possible. And we're just going to sit in George's DRS for the next few laps and make sure we stay there. And that will just be a nice little help throughout this first stint to basically lock in a top 5, hopefully, if we play our cards right. Yellow flag behind. Someone's gone.
Green flag.
Also, George is putting a shift in here. We're catching up to Leclerc as Alonso's out. Got to try and stay with Russell and his DRS, so it's important that we use our pace correctly. Luckily, we're pretty strong from this point on in the lap, and we tend to have battery to burn. No safety car from Alonso's retirement, so no change to the race for the time being. Oh my god, what a run we got through there. George extra slow through the hairpin. Car feels phenomenal at this point, and I'm quite happy following George. We are going to get a load of dirty air through here now because we're so close. But I feel like we've got a good pace, good grip, and we're able to make it work. We get a little warning there, just slipped out of range. But we're slowly clawing back those soft runners, which is a good sign. And the gap behind's going up. Doohan and Hulkenberg are deploying the blockade for us, so the McLarens can't make their way through. So I've got a full charge. I think I'm going to stick to medium, soft. I think that's going to be my strategy for this one. But the plan, I'm going to stick behind George, and whenever he boxes, I will go an extra lap. On that extra lap, I plan to basically deploy all my saved battery. I'm trying to keep a charge as high as possible, a full charge ideally, and then we'll use that to basically have an extra lap in the stint and extend, so it'll make the soft stint at the end a little bit shorter and easier to run. Oh, Leclerc's in, so the pit phase.
Okay, the pit window's open, so let's box this lap. Box this lap.
The pit phase is beginning, so at the minute, I'm happy to, again, go an extra lap after this.
Box now, please. Box this lap.
No, we'll go long, so hopefully Solov will pit in and use the empty pit box. So, Hamilton in, Verstappen out front stays out, Russell pits. Right, crucial phase. Verstappen's on hard, interestingly, so we'll box this lap now. Interesting, Norris on hard. I'm going to assume Piastri also on the same strat. Solov didn't box, so
Understood. Stopping this lap.
we will go on this one. Go for mediums, which are ready to go. And that was a good in lap. We've got the pit box at the end, which I feel like it's a new thing, a new feature. Like, I swear, well, I say the late one, the first one, sorry, I've pressed the wrong button again though. F124 habits, coming back to bite me, but 3.3 stop. We've got the first pit box. I swear that's never been a thing in Japan in the games before. It is in real life, obviously the team that's last gets the first box. So I think that's a new thing in this game. I could be wrong, feel free to correct me. But anyway, back on the way.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
There's George, and that slow stop has cost us DRS because we could have been right there. So,
Okay, Nicola's coming in for his stop now.
yeah, Solov's in. We're going to crack on with our own race, but that was a critical error, not pressing the button. I pressed the wrong button. I pressed the F124 overtake button, which isn't the same in this game. So I've still got muscle memory to brake. Anyway, one lap pressure tyres. Let's see what we can try and do with that. Leclerc 31.0. So let's see.
Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
Into P6. We're going to see what sort of pace we have in this stint. So interestingly, McLaren have swapped their strategies or going for something a little bit different. So I love the, the strategy difference in this game. Piastri's gone for softs. I'm going to assume Norris, who's in the pit lane right now. No, he's staying out. Wow. So McLaren are splitting their strategies. But Piastri's on softs. Lando is still out there on the hards. I wonder if actually maybe Piastri didn't even start on hards in the first place. So McLaren went for the split strap from the get-go. But now Oscar is flying on that soft tyre to get back in the race. So he's going to be one that will likely catch me if he clears the traffic. But right now he's in a battle with Albon, who's actually overtaken him. So the longer that goes on, the better. We're just out here running our pace. We're not quick enough. We're getting dropped now by Russell and Leclerc by nearly a second a lap. So that DRS was really helping us. But it's all good. Still P6, net P5. Looking very good for some decent points if we can just bring this home with no dramas. And we'll have that soft tyre for the last stint available as well, which is going to be great. Verstappen just went purple and did a 29.9. So that's the sort of pace these guys up front have. So we're doing really well at the minute to stick in this one. I'm going to assume Verstappen's on softs, but even still, that's insane. Better lap, 31.8, keeping the pace up. We're now matching Russell and Leclerc at this moment. Leclerc seems to be a bit slow. To be fair, Hamilton's not too far ahead either. Norris is still staying out. The minute he's getting himself in the race here, Norris will be a factor on that one stop that I think he's going for. So we're going to have to deal with that in a few laps' time. There we go, Norris in the pit lane. That's going to be his one and only, so I think he's actually leapfrogged us because we didn't catch him on this stint. So we've now got to stop left, he doesn't, so he's technically ahead of us now. So we've actually lost the position here to Lando, who went long on the hard, had great pace in clean air, made it work. So we've dropped to net P6 now, so fair play. I mean, the McLarens are super quick. But Piastri's struggling to get through. Either way, we're actually catching Russell and Leclerc here very slightly. So let's just stick with it for now. You never know. Oh, here we go. Leclerc's in. Second round of stops. The good thing is, Leclerc, Hamilton will be on mediums for this last stint. I'm not sure what Verstappen's doing. He's long gone. He's so far up the road. But if we play this right, we might have a decent last stint here. I'm planning to extend, so I want to say box around lap 20 or 21. We extended in the first stint. I'd like to go and extend again because that will be an advantage. Lando is stuck in that traffic, being currently, you know, managed by Hulkenberg, who's had a great race, keeping everyone behind. And then Albon behind that, and of course Piastri. So Lando isn't going anywhere and isn't making use of that medium tyre. So suddenly, we're bringing ourselves back into play here if we keep this pace up before the guys behind pit. Hamilton in. Russell one more. He'll box probably next lap. Verstappen, and now Russell pit. We're going to stick to our strategy here. We are going to be close with Max, but no, he's just ahead of us, so that's how far ahead Verstappen is today. But we're going to stick to the plan. I'll box either this lap or the next one, depending on what's behind. So we're not going to rush into this. But there's Lando, 14 seconds. Hamilton's right with him, and they're going to start battling, so that could be a good thing. Right, we're going to box.
Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap.
I didn't actually realise I was lap 20 out of 27. I don't know why I thought there was 29 laps in this race. So that's on me.
Pitting this lap then. Come into the pits at the end of this lap.
Wrong button again there. Right, let's make sure to hit our marks in the pits this time and not make a mistake. Going in for the softs. Good entry. There it is. Optimal. Two Ferraris and Norris are stuck together on track, but we should hopefully rejoin behind Russell ahead of Hulkenberg, and the status quo should continue. And really it's going to be, can we catch Russell? We've got slightly fresher tyres, but will that be enough? Hopefully they battle for P2 quite heavily.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
If they battle, that might be our saving grace, and we can probably close in and we'll have the best tyres out of the bunch, but let's see. Whoa, ho, 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 pushing. Almost put it in the barrier. 31.1, that's our pace. The guys ahead are definitely quicker in this stint, the quickest they've been, so I think P6 will bring that home, and that'll be good points, really good points. Doing out the race. I think it's a bit too late for a safety car now. Could still get a VSC, but I don't think we're going to get either of those. So we're going to continue on our way and just bring this home. Verstappen's won already. What a dominant performance from the four-time world champion. But what a performance from us today. Perfect weekend management. We did a brilliant qualifying, and we just basically converted our high starting position using the slower cars behind as a bit of a blockade. We broke away with Russell early on, great race management, and we are going to be rewarded with a brilliant P6, great drive. Lando of course did escape and recover through, but generally speaking, great drive, great points, and we move on to the next one.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen, he takes victory.
A great display of dominance today, Crofty, by this driver. They led from lights out to the flag at the end, led every lap of the race. Brilliant stuff by them, and excited to see what more they can do in future races.
Well, it's been a long wait for many of our drivers, but the wait is always worth it. Bring them out to the awaiting crowd. It's time for our podium celebrations. One of the all-time greats celebrates yet again. It's another podium, it's another top step for Max Verstappen.
Well, there we go. Great drive. What a race. Honestly, I'm so happy. Even with the default setup, it didn't really change anything. And I do wonder what it could have been had we been able to load one of our SRC setups. Either way, great day in the office, more points, and we move on. I believe that's our best result this season as well. So Default setup, long may it continue. Anyway, your final finishing order. Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris on the podium. Leclerc, Russell missed out. P6 for us, Sonoda behind on his home Grand Prix, picks up the fastest lap. And you can see just by the pace as well, we weren't that quick, but we just managed to race really well. And we was efficient and effective when it needed to be. Albon, Hulkenberg, Sainz, your final point scorers, Piastri down in P14. Solov does bag P18, which to be fair, looks like he almost got lapped, but to be fair, wasn't last on the road. That was Stroll and Behrman, so, you know, not too bad, just behind Hadjar, so definitely some improvements there compared to round 1 in Australia. So, standings-wise, after that one, we're P10 with Jarno. Solov still in the top half of the table. Well, I say top half that's visible in P14 with a couple of points. We'll try and hopefully bring him forward next time out. But yeah, Verstappen leads by a pretty comfortable margin. In the Constructors, we're 6th. Not bad. We overtake Aston Martin, to my knowledge, and that is, overall, a good weekend. And we are slap bang middle of the table. So yeah, Williams quite a way away. They've been quite strong so far this season, but generally we'll take it. And it's been an excellent start. So yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed. Really good episode. And yeah, this one hopefully should be a bit shorter as well. Easier to edit, easier to watch, quicker to watch. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. In the meantime, you would have had on screen all the post-race fallout from that one. And again, we're getting close now to leveling up in terms of fan rating, which is also going to be a very good thing for us as a team to move forward. Anyway, guys, in the meantime, if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more. It massively helps out the channel. And yeah, crucially, guys, let's try and smash over 1,000 likes. If you're new to the channel, then also check out the 2 videos on screen for more content like this. Also, shout out to my channel members. And I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.